so if there's comments made, you can be picked up on the streaming. So we'll start in a few minutes, seconds. We'll start no meeting before it's time. The last 30, 7 o'clock. Okay. I will call the, first what I need to do, I will call to order the public hearing that was noticed at 7 o'clock. Legal notice, Town of Southbury is up, you can see it. So this is a public hearing, and I will call forward, is there anybody that would like to speak from the public for or against this change in ordinance? This, of course, is to move the aquifer protection responsibility from the WPCA to inland wetlands, where it really does belong and they can keep track of it. It's more housekeeping than anything. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing, and we'll take it up later on the Selectmen's meeting. So, I will call the regular Southbury Board of Selectmen meeting March 3rd of 2022 to order at 7:01 p.m. Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Mary Dunn. Mary Dunn was a volunteer member. She was a volunteer member of the Volunteer Appreciation Committee. Mary was also a member of the Senior Services Commission. If we could have a moment of silence. And I thank you, and we've had a lot of great volunteers, and Southbury always appreciates them and hope their memory lives on. First up on presentations, St. Michael's Veteran Entrepreneurial Institute. Someone will be speaking from the veterans groups. Mr. Bucciarelli, would you like to come out and explain what you're looking for and what this is?
Sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm John Bucciarelli, resident of Southbury. I'm also a Major Infantry United States Army retired. My family's been in Southbury for 50 years, and I served as chairman of the Southbury Economic Development Commission for a decade. There's been much talk in town about what to do with Southbury Training School. I can speak for all of the veterans, not only here but anywhere, that we have stood on the edge of freedom, and we have stared oppression directly in the eye. We don't run from anything, just like our brothers and sisters are doing in Europe tonight. We operate on a 24-hour clock, and when I was in the Army, our motto was, we get more done before 9 a.m. than anybody else. I'm here to inform you and gain your support for St. Michael's Veteran Entrepreneurial Institute, VEI for short. Just to, every idea has a birthday. And I just want to do a quick recap of the timeline and to show you that this is gaining tremendous traction in a very short period of time. On 5 January, we conceived the idea of St. Michael's. And we chose St. Michael's because St. Michael is the patron saint of the military. On 9 January, I had the concept paper done. 21 January, we had the first team meeting. There were 3 of us. Now we are 10. And if I could have the team members stand up. Mary, too. We got 2 for 1 with the Corsus. Thank you. Thank you. On 25 January, we met with Jeff, and he suggested that we make a full presentation to the full board. Our goal has been to build this locally, and everybody behind me is a Southbury resident, and we wanted to start with that local support, and that'll spread out further out into the community. Met with Jeff, we met with the director of the training school, and now we're meeting with you. We've been very careful about not making this public knowledge until today. So today is our public announcement that this project is going forward. We didn't want to blindside anybody. That's why we chose very carefully to do it that way. On the 25th of February, we met with Eugene Harvey, the director of the training school. On 26th February, we launched St. Michael's Facebook page, and it's on your flyer. 1 March, we toured, on 28 February, I just happened to have a nonprofit foundation in my pocket that I formed back in 2015. It's called the PTSD Milsim Foundation, and it was formed to pursue the link between those that suffer from PTSD and participating in the sport of military simulation. And basically what we found, we kind of stumbled into it because I saw soldiers kind of drifting off and sitting by themselves, and I'd go up and say, "What was wrong?" "Oh, sir, it's too much. I can't handle the..." And then calm them down, and then they'd go back out and play with their buddies. And we found that by putting those, especially soldiers, in a similar situation to combat, it helped replace a bad memory with a good memory. And it worked. And we called it immersion therapy. So that's what the foundation was set up for. When this project came up, we're using the foundation as the vehicle to get this thing rolling. And on 28 February, which was Monday night, my board voted to change the name to St. Michael's. And I asked them two things. I said, "I need you to vote to change the name. And then I asked that you resign, because we're going to be appointing a new board that can pursue this bigger mission as we move forward." On 1 March, we toured STS. There was 5 of us there, and very thankful of Gene and Dave Maley, the facility manager, to take their time and give us. It was jaw-dropping in many ways that the facility is just limitless in possibilities. And it brings tears to my eyes to see the decay. And we've all heard stories about the auditorium and let's make a movie theater. It's crumbling. We walked in there and there's piles of crumbled concrete around. The seats are in disarray. Tonight is the board, we're here. And tomorrow, I'm going to use some military language. 4 March is our public announcement, big. And I'm going to call it Battle Formation Across the Line of Departure, which means that we are moving into enemy territory and taking no names. We're going to be launching across social media, and also we're researching, conducting a fundraising activity so we can get donations in through more than government agencies. Which brings me to St. Michael's Veteran Entrepreneurial Institute. And I want to reference, if you haven't seen this, it's the Southbury Training School Future Youth Study. Read it. If you don't have it, there's a link on our Facebook page. But I just wanted 2 pages. This one talks about baseline conditions. No existing conditions that represent major obstacles to a range of future use options for the campus. With the exception of 1 staff house, no major structural deficiencies were found. Clearly, many of the interior systems are dated due to the age of the structures. It should be noted that this condition of structures is much superior to other large state facilities such as Fairfield Hills Hospital and Norwich State Hospital. There's a section in here on visioning. And it says, most desirable uses, agriculture, agribusiness, education and facilities, education general, open space and recreation. Desirable uses, vocational training, disabled veteran training, commerce or corporate park, and residential. I want to tell you that in my mind, we meet all 7 of the most desirable visions for the training school. In your flyer, you can see the mission. It's threefold: to support veteran entrepreneurs, to provide long-term and transitional veteran employment opportunities, and provide services and work opportunities for homeless veterans. You can see the supporting tasks, which are, as Pete likes to say, eye-watering, but we are not the guys that run away from a challenge. It's a big project, but I think our veterans deserve a big project. There are so many little programs that are doing their very best across the country to help our veterans, but they have a small impact. Our desire is to create a national center of excellence for veteran entrepreneurship here in Southbury. Within the veteran community, when you think, I've been asked already, well, John, how are you going to get this done? And I can turn to the veteran community and ask them. We've done it before. David Pitari, right here behind me, has set up a community in a foreign country. And we say when the military moves to a foreign country, we have to bring everything with us. So he's done that. He's set this up. We want to partner with the town of Southbury and Southbury Training School. We want to be your partner to achieve the visions outlined in that document. We want to preserve the open space. We want to preserve the historic character. We don't want to see it get mothballed and decay, which could happen. This will be a benefit to Southbury as a town, to the businesses of Southbury, and I want to go so far as to say it will have a regional impact on Connecticut and the states surrounding it. We are currently working with the Southbury Training School, and Dave Maley, the facility manager, is going to help us identify a phased plan of occupation. There are certain buildings that they are not using, which is almost everything except for the lower left, call it the cul-de-sac of cottages. That's where they've kind of consolidated too. Most of everything else is empty. So what we want to do is work with them and identify those buildings we can occupy immediately, those buildings that we need to refurbish. And I make a promise to you right now, we don't want to tear down anything. We want to make it fixed. And one of the ways that we plan on doing that is bringing veterans in through our work programs, training them how to do it, and they do it. And then they kind of get certified in that task, and now they can go home and get a job or start a business or do something like that. Eventually, as the training school decreases, we can increase. But I want to make a public statement today that we are willing to support, as a partner, the Southbury Training School for as long as it needs to exist. So that's a promise, allowing them to occupy space as long as they need it, and that is a huge benefit to them. We are going to have a campus security force out there that provides security for the training school too. Right now, there being vandalism, people are coming in and visiting. Actually, if you do some research on Southbury Training School, it's actually listed on haunted places in Connecticut and urban archaeology, all these kinds of, and people are coming from other places to come see the abandoned village at Southbury Training, which is the housing area.
Personnel village.
Personnel village, yeah. So we see occupying as much and growing this as much as we can. Now, the big chunk of land up at the top above the Adventure Center has been leased to the Department of Agriculture. I don't see that, and none of my guys see that as an obstacle. We see that as an opportunity to partner with the Department of Agriculture and have some of our agricultural programs being through them or using their pieces of the property. It'd be great to see the dairy barn operational again. And we buy St. Michael's cheese or something, you know. But all of those things can be done. It was interesting when I was talking with Gene Tuesday. He was like, John, you're going to need a plan. You're going to need a detailed plan. I said, Gene, what's your plan? Let me see your plan. We want to do the exact same thing that the training school has been doing for the disabled. We want to turn that around and do it to train and educate veterans on a whole variety of different opportunities that we can do up there, and to make it a thriving community again. I'm going to leave you with, or present just a couple of statistics. Some are good, some are bad. Less than 1% of the United States population serves in the Active Forces Guard and Reserve. Less than 1%. There are 19 million veterans in the United States. That's less than 6%. There are 37,252 homeless veterans across the United States. Now, when I talk about homeless, don't get people all up in that we're going to bring every homeless person here. No, there's going to be a structured program, work programs, train them, give them the services that they need, send them home, get a job. And we also look at satellite programs across the United States that are doing the same thing. So we're not going to bring all of them here. This is a sad one. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. So every business presentation has an ask. You've all done it, right? So what are you asking us for? I have three. First, as a preface, this project is big, and it's going to require a lot of political and financial support. So the number one on our list is your support. You need to be the base of our political efforts and be our champion. And this is, I was just talking with Cindy, and thank you for coming, Cindy. This is a bipartisan effort. Veterans don't have red or blue, we're purple, okay? So we ask you, be our champion. Contact your state representatives, contact the agencies that can help us, point us in the direction. Hey, John, meet with these guys. I talked to them already. It could be regional, Naugatuck Valley, the whole thing. But we need you guys, because we're going to start going up the state and federal, and we're already talking with Cindy. Thank you. We've already heard from Senator Murphy's office. We haven't met with him, but he has said he's interested and he supports the cause. So we're moving that way. The second thing, think about deferring your right of first refusal on the property to us. Because if the state is going to offer, if it ever comes up for a choice, Southbury gets first dibs on it. Well, as your partner, we want you to defer that decision to us, and if it comes up before we do something else. The last thing is that we're going to be going all over starting tomorrow looking for funding and support. State, federal, Veterans Administration, Small Business Administration, the Labor Department, all have veterans programs and more. So that the little funnels of money that we can tap into are pretty bountiful, and we're going to hit all of them. So my third thing to ask, and I want to be able to answer the question, what has Southbury done? I would like to say that Southbury supports us fully and has made a dollar contribution, something, to the cause, because this benefits the town. So if you have any questions, I'm ready for questions.
I'll open it up to the board. They came to me a while ago in of course, COVID, winter, vacations. I thought it was appropriate to come in March to explain to the board what the vision was and what the idea was, and so that's why they're here now. Are there questions from the board?
You talked to the director of the...
Could you make sure your mic is on?
You talked to the director of the training school.
Yes.
I was curious what their take was, or just the conversation kind of went.
Greg, move that a little bit
it was-
closer.
Overwhelmingly supportive, yes. Gene, and I'm going to refer to it, his name is Eugene Harvey. Gene was excited, cautious, and he said, you know, and if you haven't noticed, I'm very enthusiastic, but the guy in charge has got to be. I let the other guys pull back. But anyway, no, very supportive. And he, I spoke to him yesterday, and I said, because we don't want to blindside anybody, I said, Gene, did you call the commissioner? So he called the commissioner, let him know that there may be some press coming out of this. He also notified the family support groups and let them know that this is a potential use for this facility. And I like this, that he said that this could be the best opportunity to support the training school. One thing that kind of caught my attention Tuesday is that, you know, they have the thrift shop out there, and they bring in over $200,000 a year, and he has to use that money to support operations at the training school. So it's a tough ride out there, and the decay that's already happening is shameful.
Justin, you turn your mic on. I thought maybe you had something.
I don't have a question.
Okay.
You know, I certainly support the idea. Happened to run into a customer today that works up there. They have 137 residents now. So I know some people say, oh, it's gonna be a long time before, you know, anything happens. I don't know that that's true, so.
Well, especially when it comes to budgetary decisions, that if the state decides, oh, we can't afford it anymore,
Right. It could happen very
then
quickly.
regardless of whatever, they're going to move those people to nursing homes. And an interesting quote from Gene was, you know, the people that hate us, training school, hate nursing homes more.
Well, certainly the training school and the people who have worked at the training school have done a wonderful job caring for the clients that are there. Their longevity is proof of that.
Is this something you guys envision like co-occupying while they're operating, or is this something that you're looking down the road once the facility closes?
No, we want to co-occupy. That's why we're coming up with a phased plan. The buildings that are empty, those that are available immediately, we could occupy, and then set up a plan to renovate buildings down the line.
What was Gene's and the state's reactions? Are they amenable to
Absolutely.
doing that?
He says that the benefit is going to be tremendous. Well, to have a thriving community around you with our own campus security force, and that makes their life that much easier. So yes, co-occupation and a transition of facilities. And it depends on how their footprint looks. Right now, we're looking at the I don't know what they call it. What's that lower, behind the thrift store, that cul-de-sac of cottages? That's their primary location right now. And as they get smaller, they're consolidating into that area. So that's a nice distinction of lower camp. The lower part is Southbury Training School, and everything up the hill is St. Michael's.
And I mean, you probably haven't gotten to this point yet, but do you know how something like that would be structured with the state? Are they like looking to, would they peel off portions and sell portions? You talked about the right of first refusal, right?
Yeah.
So would they like close up portions and sell that off and offer it to the town, or would they lease it, or would they, like, how would you envision?
The ideal situation for us, and this is, and please don't misquote me when I talk about Gene, but you know, basically he said, John, the state's never going to give you 550 acres. The best situation for us that we discussed was a lease agreement between the state and us. And that's a great financial position for us, that we don't have to put millions of dollars in order to buy it, that we can lease it for $10 for a year for 99 years, and then take the money we raise into developing the programs and renovating buildings. So it just makes good financial sense to us to lease it from the state.
I also think that, you know, some of these buildings are under the National Historic Register and need to be preserved.
Yep.
So that could be something that would come along with that aspect.
Yes.
And frankly, stop the decay of these historic buildings.
Yep.
On top of it. John?
Yeah. So, listen, I just spent the last 6 months knocking doors and talking to people. And one of the number one questions is, what are we doing with Southbury Training School? And so I've been talking to people and having ideas of like just what could go there, what could it be used for. Some of what you just spoke about is 100% on target with what we were talking about.
Yep.
I'm excited for you. I hear your excitement. I'm excited listening to this. I've walked all the way up through those spaces, walked through the spaces you're talking about as far as the residential housing, the cottages, up to the YMCA camp, and then all the way over the hill and up through the apple orchard. Beautiful walk. I recommend everybody you cross some signs, but take a walk. It's well worth it. Those buildings have great, strong bones, but they're disrepair and falling apart. So I commend 100%. Love what you're doing. Support you. I want to encourage your March 4th start and kickoff and fundraising. There's a check here for $304 for 3-4, and I love it.
Awesome.
Great job. I push.
Thank you. You know, one of the benefits to the town is that you have a single entity, rather than trying. I saw some stuff in the future use document about subdividing it, and just a nightmare waiting to happen. Where here you would have two co-occupants of the space, Southbury Training School and St. Michael's.
I have a couple questions. The Adventure Center, which I believe is used by the YMCA right now, would that continue to be used? I know a lot of families here in Southbury use that over the summer.
Yeah, matter of fact, we're looking across a full spectrum of under our umbrella, occupants or tenants that can come in and still use the place. In addition to the YMCA, though, I already envision veteran-run summer camps for youth, and that will take a whole bunch of different leadership and land navigation and all kinds of neat skills that our veterans can teach our kids.
That leads me to my next question. What sorts of organizations would you plan to partner with as far as psychological support and ensuring, admissions processes and sort of who is selected to be there?
Well, first off, the Veterans Administration, we've actually discussed already taking the medical building out there and having the Waterbury VA clinic relocate from Waterbury, which is, I go there, it's horrible. They're the only occupant of the building next to St. Mary's. And to have them come out and have a full-blown VA clinic here at the Institute. As far as support, there are hundreds of organizations that are working to help veterans, especially when it comes to PTSD. I actually got invited to a PTSD conference down at the University of South Florida to present the immersion therapy aspects of what we were doing. They were blown away. But there are lots of organizations that would love to have a footprint here and help veterans. Now, when it comes to let's call it an in-processing, or how do we get people into it? There will be an assessment group and determine a course of action, whether it's physical or mental or substance abuse, and what work programs are appropriate for that. And then, so that when they come in, they maybe need help, but when they leave, they're back on their feet again.
Yeah, and where I'm coming from, I know this community very, very well. My contemporaries that are veterans, I was a military partner for a long time. I know this community very, very well, and I support it. I love the idea of it. I also have a lot of background sort of with the folks that are currently with the VA. Some of the struggles that they have at the VA, I know it intimately well, and I would just want to have some discussion and understanding of what professional organizations would be supporting you all in your mission to make sure that the support is there for the people that need it, and to ensure that the community has the resources to make sure that the community is safe, and that if we're running something like a camp for kids, who are the folks that are involved in that. So I think there's a lot of great stuff here, and I think there's just a lot to be kind of hammered out with dialogue and figuring out what
And,
those
and,
groups are
and I
doing.
have to go back to a comment I made earlier that personally I can't do that, but all I have to do is unleash these guys behind me to go find the guys that are trained, certified, and experienced to do that kind of stuff. And there are thousands of veterans and civilian support staff that can help do that.
Sure, no,
So
I
we're gonna
agree, yeah.
make sure everybody's safe, and you know, I hope that you agree that the most honorable group of our citizens are veterans.
Absolutely. I mean, I literally just returned from training with Marine Special Ops guys. I've spent the last 5 days down at West Orlando Firearms training and working with a lot of these folks. And, I completely understand what you're talking about with the immersion therapy, and that's we were doing scenario training over 5 days. I completely understand and respect that. I love everything about this. That's my biggest question is what professional organizations that have done something like that, and it might be unprecedented, but they do have experience
Right.
in setting up organizations.
I can't right now off the top of my head identify those, but we're doing that. Everything that we do is going to be by the book.
Yep.
Dot
No,
our I's and cross our T's.
It is very exciting because as somebody who lives up in the Purchase, I drive through it all the time, and it
Yeah.
is sad to see it going, and I'm excited to see it have a future. I can't think of a more deserving group of Americans than our veterans that deserve such a space. It's figuring out how we do it logistically,
Yeah.
getting it done.
Yeah, and that's why I ask for as much help as you all can give us, point us in the right direction, and we will engage the target.
I like it.
So I think what the veterans, John and the veterans are looking for, from my standpoint, this document that was commissioned by the town of Southbury about the future use of the possibilities at the training school, with Mylona McBroom, now SLR, does come up with this as a possible use and concept. And I think I personally was very happy with the idea. It serves both the greater community. It will serve the preservation of a historic place that should be, there should be a history of what the training school was about when the concept came in and what they did, and what it will be in the future without, watching it to decay as many properties. It also is gonna take, Mike, we all know, let's be honest, it's gonna take a lot of money to rehabilitate, make sure the buildings are clean. You have slate roofs, which are very expensive and to replace. And what I said to the veterans is that you're probably gonna need to get into the federal level with some funding to see this all the way through.
Correct. And we're
No
pursuing
question.
that.
But I don't see why at the federal level with, especially with the Veterans Administration and whatnot, and partnering with the state, that this can't. I don't think Southbury has the financial capability of being that supportive.
No.
And I don't think that's, I want to make sure that's clear here that, somebody says, what do we, it's not $100 million financial support for this, but I think first off, it's conceptual support for the concept, support for the veterans on this, and what can we do as selectmen to recognize that.
Your political voice carries a lot of weight, and we need it. All of you.
So I don't know if you're looking for a letter of endorsement or a motion. I think I would have to say in an informal poll here or vote, I would think that this board would be supporting this.
That would be, the press is here tonight. This is our first public announcement of the project, and if you could endorse it tonight, that'd be, because we're launching this tomorrow. You're gonna get phone calls.
So I don't know if we should take this up adding it to the agenda to make a formal motion, or if you want to make a formal motion to endorse the concept that has been presented. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I would, I'm sorry. I mean, I would love to make a motion to enhance and endorse the concept and the process of them exploring the process of what can be done at the at the Southbury Training School.
Thank you.
With the help of the state and federal power and might of the U.S. government supporting our veterans. And I think we would support and encourage that work.
Thank you.
Rick Kuhn has seconded it.
So it's a,
Oh, here he comes.
not meant to be opposition to the motion, because so I'll preface this by saying, we get a lot of ideas about the training school, right? This is the first time I think that there's something that's actually interesting and exciting and something people can get around, and I think you're gonna get a lot of support for it. So as a procedural matter, you need to make a motion to add it to the agenda.
That's what I thought.
In order to,
So when I get to that first part, we'll get a motion to add it to the agenda, and we'll do it the proper. I think there's a little excitement here about, I mean, we've all waited for this opportunity of something, and I think that would be we'll add it to the agenda once we get there.
I feel like Mr. Corso has something he wants to say. He's been standing there patiently, waiting to be heard.
Yeah, I'm a familiar face to, I think, everybody here. Anyway, as a citizen, the first thing I would ask, forgetting that I'm on a part of the crew here, is what do we have to do? Are these guys crazy? And if you think about this thing, the order of magnitude is huge. We're talking about a process that will probably take 20 years to get done as we start and chunk it in pieces. So we're not crazy, we're ambitious, okay? And we are committed. The second question I would ask for is, oh my God, they're gonna ask for money from the town, so our taxes are gonna go up. No, it won't be 3.8%, We're not gonna ask the town for any money. So there is relief on that side. We're gonna go after the feds. We've already got a scheme. We've got the cart before the horse right now because we're putting together a plan. And that will come together very shortly. And we were involving not only federal legislators from Connecticut, but also from New York, just across the border. So we're already tapping federal monies. Okay, we're trying to find where the pockets are and where the support is and who can help us out. So that's on the way, all right? So no local tax money. Ever, I think I can say, right? I mean, if you want to, fine, but we're not asking for any of that stuff. We're looking for support of the concept and support as we go forward, and we welcome comments and criticisms and suggestions, because we don't have all the ideas right now and they're gonna pop out. And we also wanna eventually make Southbury Training School a destination location, because there's no organization I know nationally that has done or is talking about doing what we're about to do here. So this could be first. We don't have to be first, but it could be, So it's something good for Southbury. It's something tremendous for veterans. And that campus can do or house all the things that we're talking about. Anyway, thank you.
I have a question, and maybe this is just me being rookie to this board. Is there an opportunity for us to perhaps sit and ask more questions than in this forum, or possibly, I feel like, it's such a huge concept, and I love the concept of it. I'm a very logistical person, so I'm thinking about, well, how are we gonna do that? How is this gonna happen? And I have a lot of thoughts and questions, and I'm excited about it, but I also have a lot of things that I can, just speculate are concerns, and what I don't want to do is that the board comes forward and we vote that we are wholeheartedly in support, and there's something we didn't talk about because we had 25 minutes discussion about it, whereas I feel like this is such a big thing, and to make sure that it is good for the community, which I think it is, and it's also serving those who it's intended to serve. I think there's so much more dialogue to be had. Does that make sense? I feel like this is just such a.
Yes,
a
before coming
quick-
tonight, we talked about the presentation to you folks, the selectmen. But we also talked about putting together a presentation for the community.
Yeah, I mean, at this point.
You
I
know,
think
and that
it's-
makes sense, and also ask for volunteers. I mean, we've got a group of very interested people right now, but asking for volunteers, if anybody wants to volunteer to help us out do stuff, we'll
I
take
think this
volunteers.
is, I think this is the beginning of letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak.
It is.
And then see what what support you might get from the board and feedback from the community. There'll be a lot more that I would be careful because they may ask you to be part of their.
I probably would
process.
volunteer to anyway. I just.
Yeah, you don't have to become part of us, but being a volunteer part of us, we take that.
So,
And if you'd like to hold a meeting during the day, or, you know, I can bring the team in and we can have a detailed conversation, or if you'd like to meet individually, you know, we could do that too, if it's legal.
Yeah, and that's, right, exactly, and that's where, just me not knowing the process yet, being somewhat new to this, I would very much like to have a more detailed conversation.
Yeah.
Because you know, my wheels are spinning, and I've got a lot of thoughts and ideas, and, I love the entire concept of it. I just feel like I have so many unanswered questions that probably wouldn't be answered in this room tonight.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, we may not be in a position. There are so many thoughts going through our minds that
Right.
you know, that we need answers for. That because the potential out there is limitless, and you know, what do you want to do? Let's do it. You know. So yes, whatever you need, a meeting with the whole board or individually, you know, we will support that
Great.
wholeheartedly. Are there any other team members that would like to get up and make a comment?
My name's Pete Betker. I live in John's backyard, internal lot. But anyway, I really appreciate your comments. And to that, the kind of the answers that we didn't have as to who the organizations are. For I think a lot of what we're asking is for you to kind of buy into this. You don't need to have your names on the title, but as your questions come up, there's different perspectives seated around your table, and those are the questions that we need, because none of us has the expertise to put this together right now, and to have you ask the questions allows us to bring in more stakeholders and to get those questions answered. And helps
I
us-
think
helps
because
us develop.
what they're looking for, Holly, is I think if in concept, if they don't have the support from the community of Southbury, it would be very difficult for them to continue from there. You know, politicians outside of, they don't want to go against the community. So I think this is the beginning of support for this concept, which is part of the plan that was brought forward. Any of them would be good if they take shape. If this concept takes shape, it is part of the Myelona McBroom SLR study that said this is one of the things that it could be repurposed for. And again, I think that that this is still in the hands of the state of Connecticut with a lease situation would be a relief to both the state of Connecticut and the community, and it would still be viable and it wouldn't become,
One of the things that Gene mentioned to me was if we can go to the state and prove that we can reduce their financial obligation out there by X millions of dollars and still maintain operations, the state would buy it in a day. You know, if they can go from 50 million to 10 million because we're doing all the other stuff.
yeah.
Stuart Brush would like to make a comment? Yeah. He's on our team.
I'm
And a
on the
saint and a
team.
reverend.
Yes, I was the chaplain at the training school until I was 78 years old. And I flunked retirement 3 times now. But I'm still involved with the training school with the 2 chaplains who are running the chaplaincy program. And I tell you, I know that the training school is well run. It is caring for the residents, and it was the best parish I ever had for those many years that I was there. And so I was talking to John in church one Sunday, and he was introducing to me the concept that he had for this place. And it's a concept that I had actually thought about a little bit after I left the training school. I said, what are they going to do with this piece of property? And it's a shame to let it go, and it's a shame to see it deteriorate. And we would just love to have a useful and program for the veterans that would be to their benefit, it'd be to the benefit of the neighborhood, the town, it would be to the benefit of all. With I don't see a single negative in the discussion in the plan. I think the plan is just God sent. And what I, as a pastor, would say, very briefly, is amen.
Okay. Okay.
I just offer you what you're talking. Dave Terry. To answer the questions you had, ma'am, first of all, any vet that would be working with civilians would be vetted.
John, introduce yourself. They don't know you.
I did. Yeah, I did.
I missed it.
It was quick. On that part, the other one with the training for the YMCA or the immersions you did for five days with the Marines, because I'd like to get the name of that organization. I'll talk to them. I'll deal with them. We can establish any kind of training you want to do with that. We call it lane training in the Army. If you need specialized training for a specialized group, you want to go in for a few days, because we already have a group that veterans take out some people and they do bushcraft and horse riding, and they train them how to do that. So we can do the same thing as that. Any kind of, from now until the future, if the town or any organization in the town wanted to have like a fun day or some kind of training or just to see what military life is like, we can do that. We can do the adventure training, bushcraft, like I said, we can do all that for you. So if you were asking for those kind of questions. And we'll be dealing with organizations like you just talked about, the Marines. There were some special operations guys.
Yeah, right.
They're Marines, so
Yep.
I don't know, they got special crayons or something, but
So I wasn't, I guess I wasn't inquiring so much about, training civilians. I was simply anecdotally mentioning that I literally had just gotten home from something similar to immersion training, with folks. My question was more around, the folks that would be up there, what kind of activities would go on, who would be vetted, how would we vet folks, all of that. I think there was, one of the things that's always surprised me is the lack of much of a junior ROTC or something like that, a lot of those opportunities. So that is exciting to possibly have some opportunity for students to learn about what their options could be in the military. At this point in time, it seems so premature. My thoughts are more about the establishment of process to how does it even get built out before those ancillary things come in. It's more about what professional organizations that have dealt with individuals with, some of the challenges that they have, whether it's housing challenge, all of those different things, kind of what is the backbone of professionals that have that mental health awareness and all of those different things. Like, what groups would you be working with? I think it's awesome down the road that we would eventually maybe have some community involvement, but that wasn't necessarily my focus yet. I think that's
we're also going to press to have like the vet center. There's vet centers around.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Danbury. I've already approached them and have them move their office here
Okay.
to the training school.
So would folks that go to the VA now for any sort of service, would we be looking to have a full service VA, and that those folks are now having their appointments here in Southbury?
Waterbury has a what they call a satellite. So you go there for your primary doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I do that. A few of us do that. And then they'll refer you to West Haven or Newington, because we're pretty much right in the middle of each. It takes just as much time to go to either one. So that would be here. Hopefully in the future we'd have that office here. And as far as vetting any of the veterans to be able to, that come in and actually do the work, we'll vet them.
So I think what, and the only reason is that this is a great topic, but I've got a couple more presentations. I think,
Yeah, I just
I
wanted to
think
make
we've
a
been
quick-
sold on the idea, we'll add it to the agenda. I think, again, they're looking for support of the concept of what they want to do, and that the community supports this concept moving forward. It's gonna take a long time for all this stuff to come together. Based on January 5th till now, it's been kind of a quick ride. So I think they have a little time ahead of them to go over those things.
Just to that point, don't think that this is going to take a long time. Tomorrow, when we launch this, every veteran in the country will know that this is going to happen, and I think we're going to gain the support very quickly. It's going to take time. Don't get me wrong. I am enthusiastic, but I'm not stupid. Okay, but remember the 24-hour clock. Funny story: when I was an active duty advisor for the National Guard in Florida, the battalion commander, lieutenant colonel, came up to me and said, "John, can you get a training plan for the whole battalion to do a scenario-driven training exercise?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Do you think you can have it ready in 90 days? Because the Guard thinks 1 weekend a month." I told him, "I'll have it next week for you, because that's the way we think." So I'm not going to wiggle my nose, but I can guarantee you that don't hold your breath on this one, because it's going to happen.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So we'll be adding that to the agenda.
So,
in a-
presume we could do that, we could add it now. Let's make a motion to add. the
You wanna make the
discussion,
motion now?
concept
Okay.
To add it to new business?
Do you have a motion, Jason?
Yes. Motion to add it to new business.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It carries. Okay. Next up is our health department. I've asked our two representatives, Dr. Nee and Mr. Hunter, to come and talk to us about what's going on with the health department and some concerns I think the Board of Selectmen have. So if you could come forward. Okay, so there's been a lot going on with the health department. I'm understand they're looking for space in Southbury. They're out looking around.
That's right.
But something that came to my attention through our attorneys, and it's a letter of intent that's been signed by, and I understand you have seen this, you had seen it earlier. And in this letter of intent that's signed by the town of New Milford and the town of Washington on October 12th of it's dated September 23rd of 2021, dated and signed October 12th of 2021. Number one on the list was a name change of the agency, which was, this was initiated by, I believe, the town of New Milford, this document. And then on number 6, it says the health director will be headquartered in New Milford and be there for at least 2 days. As representatives of the town, wouldn't it make more sense for Southbury for the headquarters to be in Southbury, where Oxford, Southbury, and Woodbury are, rather than relocated up to New Milford?
Sounds like a good idea. I didn't know I thought we were doing a presentation on where we're at with things. I didn't know we were going to be having some discussions about things in the past. We can talk about that. We've been talking about having a footprint here in Southbury and continuing that and expanding on that.
That's right.
We've continued to sort of advocate for the town and continue to build. 2 days, there's 3 other days in the week, at least in the work week, where people can be here.
But this was written by someone other than Southbury and someone who is not part of the health district, and that you understand that both of you had seen it. And as I said, in number 6, it says that the director shall be headquartered in New Milford. I'm just curious why you would see a document like this and not defend Southbury, that the headquarters would be here in Southbury.
I don't think that it's saying that the headquarters is in New Milford. It says,
Shall be headquartered, that's what it says. You read it, right?
yes,
Okay, so it says shall be headquartered in New Milford.
the director is what it says, right?
It doesn't say the offices. it
Doesn't
says-
say the office.
It says the director.
Shall be headquartered, and I'm, again, this is what the document says. Another thing it says in here, on number 7, that concerns me, it also says 2 more seats, that New Milford is to have 2 more seats than the next largest member town. Shouldn't that be, I mean, that's what they wrote. I'm concerned that that was the intent, that some other municipality would have essentially the power over the municipalities that are already in the health district. That's what it says here. And I'm concerned that this was not brought to my attention or to the board. Is there any reason? Wouldn't you think that would, no?
No, it's a good point you're bringing forth, Jeff. Thanks for, bringing that forward.
But you didn't see any concern with the document that they wrote that would essentially be giving over, they intend to have the control over the health district with 2 more seats.
Well, they're not gonna have control
No.
over the health district. They're gonna have seats on
On
the
the
board.
board.
2 more than any other municipality. That's what it says in,
There's two other seats.
There's
in
2 seats in New Milford and 2 seats in Southbury.
it says here in this document that you had seen.
Well, we can
Well,
say
we can
say
tell you
you
now
now
that
that there's 2 seats.
2 seats. That's the
But
way it
in
is structured
here,
now.
you didn't, it was the intention, shall have 2 more votes than the next largest member town. That's what New Milford wrote. And I never saw this, or we were never made aware of it until our attorney gave it to us. You think that's not, you're representing the town of Southbury, you think we should at least have known about that?
We have no concerns about the health district taking away anything from Southbury at this time. In fact, if anything, they've been even more engaging and providing more services for our citizens in our town. And believe me, we're working for Southbury. We're not working for anybody else here, Jeff. Okay?
Well,
There's no bad intent here because that's what you're implying right now.
I think this was bad intent.
Right. Do you
we
think
never were
we're
made
having bad intent?
aware of this.
Is that what you're saying?
What I'm
Jeff?
saying is, this should have been brought to our attention as representatives, that New Milford and Washington would put forward such a document. That's a concern. I also understand that there's an MOU that's in place with New Milford Hospital and Nuvance, or the New Milford Hospital, a memo of understanding. MOU, I've been told there's an MOU with the New Milford Hospital. Is that true?
I'm not aware of that. In regards to,
Services, that's what the health director was saying, that that's what New Milford, the town of New Milford was bringing to this setting of the Pompey Health, of the health district. I said, well, what are they bringing, what's in it, we were coming with reserves and money and real estate. What are they bringing? And they said, well, New Milford's bringing an MOU from New Milford Hospital. I'm concerned about that because we have a very strong presence here in Southbury, Oxford, and Woodbury with St. Mary's, Griffin, Yale, Danbury. I'm having trouble wrapping my head around why New Milford Hospital would have an MOU and how that benefits the current 3 members. So you know nothing about the MOU from New Milford Hospital?
I don't know the specifics of it.
No.
Do you know there is?
I'm not aware of it.
Not aware of that, okay. So I think that's something that we should, I think we should look into, what that MOU is and who it's with. And, you know, we have 3 towns here. They only have, right now, they only have 1 up in New Milford. And it seems like we're being separated. And I think it's a good.
I don't think that that's accurate. I don't think we're being separated. I understand what you're saying about the letter, but I think we're able to provide more services for Southbury, for the towns, and I think that's a positive of the arrangement, and it's going to be as good. It's going to be better for Southbury going forward.
I have a
And
question.
why do you think it's, why do you think it's heading that way?
I have a document here signed by the town of New Milford that was going up to the
Okay,
Department of
that's-
Public Health.
Yep.
That list in here that we were never aware of.
Yeah,
And if you read it, what would you say? It's okay, you saw this, it was never brought to this board.
I do have a question. So this current board, we were joined by members of the Health District a little over a month and a half ago. Selectman Betty very specifically asked, in relation to our seniors, would the Health District remain here? It was a very clear question. He had said, we have a lot of seniors here. Would the Health District remain here? Is the intent to remain here? And I think whether it was specifically stated or was at least insinuated that it would remain as it is here. And I am concerned about even while services may be offered up in New Milford, how that benefits the seniors who might not have that sort of transportation or access, because they have been based here, and I am very concerned about services being so far away, and if that is genuinely going to benefit our seniors if they can't get there, or if it becomes more cumbersome for them to get services. But I am concerned because, I actually listened to that entire presentation over again, and Selectman Betty had very specifically asked, would you be staying here? And she said, yes, and it was very much a reassurance.
That's right.
That's correct.
But the headquarters is here, and I think there was somewhat of an implied statement that it would remain the same, and it seems that might be shifting.
No, that is not the intent, nor has any of the discussions been about that, about pulling back on any services or space within Southbury at all. In fact, the discussion is they're outgrowing the space they're in now, and we need to have a larger space in this area to continue to provide even more services.
That's right.
than they are now. So there's no intention for people to travel to New Milford for services. The intention is to keep those services and expand them here. And also be able to provide to the other towns that are around us, the 2 others.
So I'm going to ask a sort of a silly question. This is just a layman's question. When you say the intention, what is the assurance of what will be? So I know you can say the intention is not to. What is the reality of what this will look like for our seniors?
In terms of what's going on now versus in the future? Is that
Sure.
what you're-
As this expands into New Milford, while I understand that the word intention is, the intention is, realistically, there is, I just want to be totally clear on this, there is, realistically, our seniors will not be expected to go any farther than they are going today to receive services.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I just want to say for the record that to me, it's very disappointing that you saw, as representatives of Southbury, that you saw this document and never brought it to anybody's attention. I know it's not what they finally did, but to me, this shows the original intent of the town of New Milford and the town of Washington clearly to take over and take control unfairly, which is not allowed. I mean, you have to do by population. Right in here, headquartered in New Milford. That's what they want. And shall be present in New Milford not less than 2 days. Which, not according to need, that's, they want them there for 2 days. We have a population of 3 towns down here. So probably when you took the demographics of it, they should be here 4 days and 1 day in New Milford. So I'm concerned that this was what, we were never made aware of this document, which tells me the intent of the town of New Milford. It's disappointing. I think it's disappointing to the board when they see this. Can you understand why? As representatives of our town?
The intent, what we never saw that as, with this merger, as being anything of New Milford taking over. If anything, this was, no, let us finish. Let's finish. The intention was for us to merge together, to be able to combine services and provide greater services for our residents of Southbury. The other board members from Oxford and Woodbury also agreed. They saw that also. And we all agreed that this was the best thing and best way to proceed forward. And it is working out very well, and it will continue to work out very well.
What was the reason behind the 2 more votes than any other town? What was the purpose behind that
I guess
language?
you'd have to ask New Milford on that one. Because as Jeff has pointed out,
But our representatives saw this document. I've sent it to the Board of Selectmen. John?
So, and I'm just kind of curious, and it's kind of on the question to both of you, I guess. The letter is, you know, if I'm presenting something, I want to put it in my best light, to my advantage. So if that's from New Milford and Washington, you know, and they're going to, you know, I want 2 more reps and I want all the services and I have, you know, was that all ever actually implemented, or was it all, like, was the letter just put to the side, and are we just moving ahead
I'm
to
hearing
what's
from
better?
from the health director, I think that Lisa Morrissey made a comment, they're waiting to see what Southbury's going to do. I said, we're a member of the health district. What do you mean? I mean, we're looking for you to sign a lease, like you said, build out a facility. And since there's 3 towns down here, I would think that you would advocate for our headquarters and the health director to be here in Southbury.
they will be 3 days a week, because there's 2 days there, 3 more days down
Do you
here.
understand my concern with this document? I've sent it to you, both of
I
you.
just answered the question, though, about that. They'll be here on those other days, right?
Never brought
Jeff,
to
we did
our
not sign,
attention.
we did not sign this.
No,
This
but you
was
knew
signed-
about it. Was not brought to our attention that this was New Milford's intention.
Okay, you
That
have,
would make me
you've
concerned
said
about
that 5
whether.
times, 6 times
That would
now.
make us concerned about moving into an agreement with New Milford. I'm concerned. I don't know about the rest of the board.
Yeah, if I could add, and I think it's just reiterating the point, but it seems that there's a breach of trust when you know that you've seen a document, and then, you know, just coming onto the Board of Selectmen myself,
Right.
and learning about this stuff, and this happened before, you know, I was serving my term, it's like, you know, why wouldn't they come and say, hey, this is happening? It feels like there's a breach of trust there. If I could just add some thoughts moving forward, is that I've seen from this new organization, at least preliminarily, just by email, that I don't think existed before, were just like COVID reports, communication. We had the director speaking the other day, committed to transparency, increased communication. And I think that in part, initially, we're seeing that. And so I would just ask, as a selectman, that, I'm sort of excited to see what you are presenting tonight. I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say about where we're at. And if we could get your buy-in to come back often and keep us updated, because that would be meaningful to me. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll just ask about, talking about this document. So the document signed by the health district and 2 other towns. So I'm not interested in the details and like what's in there, because that's not what happened. There's been a name change now, and there's a new department, and none of that stuff happened that's in there. But I'm just curious how it came about, like what the discussions were and whatnot, and what led to this.
The merger?
This document that Jeff's talking about.
I honestly,
It doesn't seem that this actually went into effect, like we have.
Yeah.
What actually happened is very different.
yeah.
Well, legally, this couldn't happen.
So that's why I'm not, asking any questions about the details now. I'm just curious about the process. That's all.
Yeah, I believe it was presented, and Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was presented at one of our board meetings about as we were moving forward with this merger, that it was discussed, and I believe, as we remember, it was presented during that meeting, the letter.
By New Milford.
It was presented by the acting director.
Who works for the town of New Milford, right?
Was working.
Was employed
yes,
by the
and
town
as
of New
and the temporary
Acting director
for South Bear.
for the Pompano Health District.
So it could be said that this was initiated by,
Well,
the
it was, I don't believe it.
director
I,
and the
it
town of
wasn't
New Milford.
initiated, it was presented by, she presented the
Presented by,
document at the-
signed, this is a health director who presented this to the
Yeah,
Pompano
but-
Health District
for us to discuss at the board meeting, right?
on behalf of the town of New Milford and the town of Washington, obviously. Okay. You have any other questions? I hope to see a signed lease someplace. They've talked about it, I know they're looking, but I think Selectman Betty, I think you would feel a lot more comfortable if there was something in the works soon. Because this does not give me any comfort. And I don't think it gives the board comfort.
I can understand why that ruffles feathers. I'm certainly glad it didn't come to pass. And I did ask that, what the intention was, and I'm glad to hear that they're working on getting something here. Be interested to see what it is. But again, the concern that I have, and we've spoken about, is we have more senior citizens than any town in the state, and we just don't want to have to see them travel.
Yeah, no, there's no intent for
That's right.
for the people to move at all. I'm not
Great.
sure where that concept came from. So,
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Thanks.
Next up is public comment. If we can have public comment, and if we can limit it to 2 minutes. Is there any public comment?
Mary Corsu, 272 Old Woodbury Road. Hi, everybody. So, little changing gears. 2 things I just wanted to bring up to everyone's attention. Being the logistical planner for the interfaith faith walk, we are not going to do it this year. We have new management, so to speak, at Sacred Heart Church, which is now called the Roman Catholic Parish of Middlebury and Southbury. We are merged with St. John of the Cross from Southbury, so we are blending ourselves together. Our new pastor is Father Bob Kwiatkowski, formerly of Woodbury, then of St. Peter Claver in West Hartford. So he's getting his footing, and we have new leadership in other churches throughout the town, St. James, United Church of Christ. So they're not really familiar with what we do. So at this time, it's just like a little wait and see and blend everybody together so we can do a very good faith walk. It is going to be difficult, but they always say it will be amazing. And on the other side of the coin, we are going full force with the Southbury Memorial Day Parade and ceremony. We are already in the works of revising the letter. I have sent out my note to Major General, I believe that's the terminology, Francois Yvon at the National Guard. I don't know if we'll be getting any military people. Believe they are in Poland at this point, but we can only hope. And we'll have the students, we'll have the bands, we have everybody on board. So that's something to look forward to. So I'm just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what was going on. We're charging ahead, no pun intended, but we're charging ahead. And just to key off what was said here about this veteran thing, as an economic development commissioner, I think that's pretty exciting for the town. And I think it'll go a long way. And of course, we know people want to move here. So, and being a resident for 44 years, I was born the year before, coming here, it's been that way, and people want to come so we could see it, and this will just be another extra added attraction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Any other public comment?
I'll flip it around for you. So, I'm Carol Winship.
Carol, can you pull that down just a little bit? There you go.
How's that?
Perfect.
So, before Dolores passed away, and I'm referring to our planning administrator, sadly, she passed away. Book of knowledge, the girl was, and she brought into, I believe it was this room, all of the department heads and whomever wanted to join into this kind of informal meeting that was headed by an attorney whose expertise was in land use / no trespassing. It was very informative, learned a lot, and it was the message was that you just simply cannot trespass on somebody else's property, even if you're from a big department in a municipality. Doesn't matter, you can't do it. So I would like to bring this guy back. A lot of new people in town, they don't get it, that they just can't go wherever they want, you know, with their dogs or their kids or whatever. That's fine, but I think it's time to bring this guy back and bring the department heads back too. You know, so we're all on the same page. He was great. The guy was great, really. Betsy, you remember him when we did this? No.
Okay.
What good are you, Betsy? I know. Anyway, so that's that.
Thank you.
And then at the end of this meeting, are you going to have a discussion on that last PDF on the agenda for the?
Well, we don't take questions here, so I can't technically tell you. It's if it's on the agenda or added to the agenda, we'll take it.
Are you going to have a discussion
On what PDF?
on the aquifer?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you will
Yeah,
discuss
yeah.
it? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so it's in the agenda. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Didn't we, wait a minute. Okay, you're under new business. Thank you, Brian. Make sure we didn't miss someone. In front of you, you have your announcements and correspondence. I'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And it carries. Minutes, February 17th and February 23rd of 2022. Can we take them together? Is that all right?
Motion to approve.
Can I have a second? Thank you, John. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it carries. On the unfinished business, inland wetlands and aquifer protection agency ordinances. Betsy, do we have, oh, I'm sorry, she's looking. We've had a public
To
hearing?
approve the changes in the Wetlands Ordinance, and the Aquifer Protection Agency Ordinance.
Can I have a second, Justin?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And it carries. Under new business, Brian Wood is here. First Light is looking for a letter of support on the proposed solar array at the Chapag Dam. He approached me a couple days ago. I'm not sure which exact day, but, and I asked him to come and explain what this is. If you will, on your idea of what First Light is going to be doing here.
No, absolutely. You know, I reached out to my management team. We're looking at options. You know, the big hydro dam, the largest hydroelectric in the state of Connecticut, it's right down the road. You know, we've trained our Eagle View staff in here, and folks have unlocked the door for us to do the volunteer training. You know, the business is really dynamic. The market's changing, and as part of the market changing, we're seeing a significant drop in revenue. So as part of that, you know, our corporate offices in Boston are looking at what can we do? How can we work with everybody? What makes the most sense? And we started putting together bids for solar projects. Chapag, an opportunity arose, you know, 1 to 2 megawatt. We have existing land that's open to the public, free of charge. We already generate electricity there. We have all the licensing. We're in the community. And we had the conversation, and my folks said, hey, we're going to go to bid. And I said, we haven't talked to the town. You know, I live in town. I said, let me reach out to the first selectman. I don't want to announce a bid to Eversource without at least touching base. I said, you guys are in Boston. It's not Connecticut. It's a different universe. You know, we really wanted to, you know, so I reached out to Jeff on a Friday night and said, we're looking at putting in a solar bid. I don't want to go to notice with everybody without reaching out to the town. And he was nice enough to invite us to the meeting. So you guys know the company's been here since '55 when we built the Chapag Dam. We've been around for almost 100 years. We're the largest hydro, and you guys can put it in your buzzwords, the largest hydro in the state of Connecticut's in Southbury. You know, very few people even know that. You know, we're renewable energy in your backyard. We're doing decarbonization. We're doing all the amazing stuff that you hear about in the news. It pays my mortgage every day in Southbury. So I said, no big deal. I'll go talk to the first selectman. You know, we'll see what the process is. We didn't want to put any bids in with the state. Literally yesterday, Eversource changed the bid package, made it uneconomic for the bid that I'd sent you guys and just had a quick conversation about. But my guy said, we're going to be rolling out something. We'll see how the market changes. And I said, good. It's an opportunity for me not to say, please, can you give me a letter? We're going to DPUC tomorrow. It's an opportunity to say, hey, we're probably going to be putting batteries and solar in your guys' community. You know, I read the voices. My wife thinks it's funny, but I read everything. And, you know, it's an opportunity for us to partner with you guys. Let you know that we're going to build something. Before we build or go to bid, we'd want to reach out to you. I can get you more details as something hits more specific in the market, but it's just an opportunity to reach out to you guys and say it's a huge asset. You know, come and see it. If you haven't been to the Eagle View, it's still open. I run the Eagle View. We had about 25 eagles on Sunday. So if you haven't been over, check it out, and we'll keep you guys in the loop. You know, before we apply, my commitment, I said to corporate, is I'll go to the meeting tonight. Haven't been to a Board of Selectmen meeting in a while. I'll let them know that we're not going to build anything without reaching out to the community. We don't want to be the first one to announce it in the Hartford Current or wherever it ends up popping out, and you guys aren't aware of it. So it's an awareness meeting. As we build our profiles that are going to be economic, we're going to come to you guys first.
So I think there's some developments that are happening in the solar industry that are making it a little more viable. Obviously, I'm looking like, okay, maybe we can get some great information as we're moving forward with an energy task force of, you know, they have already dug into this on a professional level that we would have this.
Yep.
But one of the interesting things that Brian said to me about this solar project, they're also concerned about the environment, where a lot of times these solar panels go in and everything underneath it is killed off. I'll be frank with you, I do not like the idea of using agricultural productive land in this country to go to solar, because I think food is another source that we should be concerned with. But could you explain that this was to be up higher and that the pollinators?
Yeah, when I took over the land management some 10 years ago and took over all our parks, I decided, why are we mowing what we're mowing? And it was, we mowed it because we always mowed it. And I said, well, why are we mowing it? Let's put in bee pollinator habitat. So we stopped cycling all our mowing. We started putting in natural, bee pollinator habitat, mixing it in. And when we looked at our development design profile, we have another 2 megawatt solar facility run up in Massachusetts. And I said, well, in Connecticut, that habitat is missing. We're losing farmers' meadows, we're losing the agriculture, we're losing all these challenges. Let's put our posts up higher, allow the sun to get underneath it. We can have that bee pollinator habitat and have a natural environment underneath the solar panels. We also looked at all our core forest regulations because we're not into clearing forest to put in solar. We have some areas where we will probably do logging because it's just the nature of having the large tracts of land that we have. But that's the balance I was discussing with Jeff is you can really, if you think about it right and you plan correctly, you can end up with a really valuable facility that doesn't just devoid the land of any use. And I agreed with Jeff that, if you guys need information, we're a power company in your backyard. For-profit generator, we're here, and I told Jeff I'd give you guys the contacts of the folks that we're working with. So if the town moves toward making decisions on solar, we can give you some contact information for the partners we're working with. We just announced it. I just made sure I'd show up to make sure we didn't go to, the press without talking to the town first. And I don't know what you guys think. Do you think the town would have an interest in it if we got you a flyer and we were gonna put in a bid? We were gonna place it tomorrow, but like I said, the market changed.
And I just heard about this tonight because I understood that.
I heard about it on the ride here, that we're not going to bid. I said, well,
I'm not
gonna
keeping anything from anybody. It's just
No.
this moves quickly.
I said it's on the agenda. I got the agenda from the office. I'm not going to not show up at the meeting. I thought it was a good opportunity just to talk with you folks about, if you have interest, if you want to see our assets, if you want to see the hydro, you guys have my contact information, see how the asset works, and at least let you know that we're looking at batteries, we're looking at solar, we're looking at them throughout New England. But this was the first one that literally we were going to hit the button on, and I said, we can't do that without talking to the town. It's not the way First Light runs.
And it's
So-
interesting, we just got done, I just had a conversation with Eversource on something else about, today in a meeting. All of a sudden, I'm hearing a lot about these storage batteries. We've been approached about leasing a piece of property next to the cell tower. It's a beginning proposal, and they store the power during off-peak time, and then release the power during peak loads. I always think it's in the summertime, that's peak loads. And actually, it's a balance between when natural gas is short during cold weather and whether they have to do any rolling blackouts, and it's unlikely to happen. But these batteries are also used to fill the void on those peak hours.
Correct.
So the technology is I almost would say, it's becoming it's becoming more mature. And I think this is a time where the Energy Task Force would maybe start getting, what Brian said was they were looking for a letter of support from the town for the project. A lot of people, I don't think we can ask that it be referred to planning. I don't think, because it's a federal property, is that?
That's kind of the unique situation is we're a, federally regulated hydro, private for-profit generation company, but we have a federal hydro license, allows us to run and generate electricity through 2044. It wouldn't come to local zoning, wetlands. It might go to the siting council. It might just end up being applied at a federal level. We're not really sure, but we wanted to make sure that, we contact you guys, we talk about it. First Light's really unique because we're the largest energy storage in New England. We own Candlewood Lake, the first pump storage in the U.S. It's almost 100 years old. Chippewa, the large generator in town here, and then we have our Northfield Mountain facility that's, at the time of construction, the largest pump storage. So to Jeff's point with the batteries and solar and all the things we're seeing change in the energy market, there's no way to store electricity. Really, the only way to store it is with hydro. It's, you pump the water up, you hold it on top of the mountain as Candlewood does, you generate down when you need it. That's the way that pump storage facility works. Chippewa literally fills every day with the whole watershed that we all live in, putting water into the basin, and then we generate it out on those peak times. So we're staged for the revolution, but at the same time in energy, we're in your backyard. So I said to my guys, let me go up, get the meeting, apologize for putting me on the agenda, but also, you know, letting you know what we're gonna be doing, and that we'll come to you guys in the near future with, you know, next projects that are coming up. And if you wanna see some of our facilities, or if you have questions, you know, our government relation folks who understand this energy industry much more than me, I manage the land for them. You know, we can provide an opportunity to discuss with our folks where the market's going, how things are changing.
What happened in the last 24 hours that things changed?
Eversource, as far as I understand it, like I said, I'm the land guy on the project team, is they had a bellwether on this is the price that the bid has to come in. They lowered that price, trying to get more competitive pricing, but at the same time, they made it uneconomic. In our case, as a private generator, you know, if we go to build something, we have to buy it all. We don't have a rate base. So other entities can spread over every citizen in the US when they build solar. We have to spread across what we can get from a bank to actually build and own.
So this development, does that change the scope of work for you guys in terms of, you know, your intention to build a solar array? Is that
I think we'll continue to pursue it. It's just the market is so dynamic and changing so quickly, like we learned this week. And, you know, the bid systems and the infrastructure are gonna continue to change as more stuff comes online. So our decision was, we know we can build it, we know we meet the regulations, we know it's the right thing for First Light, it just doesn't fit this year's auction. So shelf it, make some more decisions, see how the market changes, and then re-enter with this fully vetted plan.
looking at next year's bid window?
Right, next year's bid window makes more sense for us, and see how the market changes.
So that will go back to, if everybody remembers, in 2015, there was an idea of having a solar array on the landfill. Things changed the market. It really was not a good deal. So you have to understand, as you go forward with these things, any of these energy projects, carefully not to get too caught up in the momentum and the desire to have it versus the reality of whether it financially works or not. So I think this is a great opportunity for our energy task force, because of course I think we would all say we're all for renewable energy. Solar panels are getting better, they're becoming more efficient, they're lasting longer, but that also changes the market.
Yep, the market's dynamic, supply chain, being able to get the parts, price, labor, all those things that we calculate in as a, you know, for-profit company. We wanna make sure if we invest in something, it's gonna at least break even and support itself. And those are the challenges where we said that the economics just don't work with the bid changing last minute. But, you know, we're developing plans and schedules for all this stuff. You know, the paired battery stuff, we own a battery company, so we're trying to find footprints where the batteries will work and pair with our assets so that, you know, we could generate off of the hydro, charge the battery in the market. That might be good, and then generate in. And we're looking at paired battery, solar, and hydro, which is pretty unique. So we'll keep you guys, and I just told my guys, you can't hit a button on something without talking to the town folks, you know?
Appreciated, thank you.
They've always been good. Justin?
Two quick questions.
Sure.
More so, I think, so that people can from home can hear, I'm sure you've thought of this, but would the panels affect the eagles in any way?
You know, in the studies that we've done, there wouldn't be any effect on, you know, threatened endangered species, cultural resources. That's our mantra, is we have to, you know, meet the resource level management, and in our vetting of it, it wouldn't have an impact.
Great. And has anybody from our energy task force reached out to you yet?
No.
Well, this is kind of the,
Can we get you together? Because I know they want to learn more about solar.
No, absolutely, and that's why I said to my folks, you know, we're a resource in town. You know, I have people that are much more qualified than me to speak on that level, but, you know, we're here, we're in the community, and that was part of the point of showing up, is just saying, hey, we'll keep everybody in the loop, and you can always say you have the largest hydro generator in the state in Southbury.
Cool, thank you.
so I think there's a lot of changes in the energy industry in this area. I know we're not the first. There's others that have already gone in there. But I think, why don't we, Greg, I'll get you Brian's number. Greg works for a utility, Con Ed.
Okay, yep. Nice to meet you.
And on our energy task force liaison, so I will probably connect that together. As it was put to me by someone, there's a lot of snake oil out there, believe me. And they said, you really want to make the right decisions with the right set up. And there are gonna be, I think, what, you have to almost expect, okay, we're about to do something, and if it changes in the bids, you don't wanna move forward unless it's right. And I think we could look to some advice from your group about,
No, absolutely.
that would help
You
us.
know, we're local, we're here, you know, and that's what I said to my team is, we'll reach out locally, you know, make sure everybody's in the same page, and keep you guys in the loop as we develop stuff. But we look forward to continuing to be a member of the community.
So you mentioned it, and I'll be the first to say I'd love to take you up on the offer of a tour.
I think we
Yeah.
could probably set that up, we just need to make sure we don't have a quorum. I don't know how, if we could all go, but I've lived,
No, absolutely.
they tell me it's quite something to see, so.
Yeah. Being able to see the hydro generator is amazing. You know, with COVID releasing a little bit, it makes it a lot easier for us. We've been on lockdown just like everybody else. But you know, if you haven't been up, go up and see our Eagle View. It's still open for another couple weeks, and that's a great vantage.
It's cold up there.
It is. It's windy. But we look forward to working with you guys, and thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Brian, appreciate that. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Number two, on new business was added was a discussion on the proposal by the veterans that came. I guess the proper way, I would say is, I would entertain a motion to, of support for the concept that was presented tonight. That would get us into a good discussion. Is that correct, Jason?
Second that.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. So, I'll open it up for discussion. Would anybody have any comment on what they feel? John?
So I was gonna say, and not to sound totally excited before, but the idea would be, by all means, in my thought, would be just basically to, what was I looking at? To conceptually support their ideas, their thoughts, their activities, and efforts to investigate the work and to do a study and for the regional veteran services at Southbury Training School. So no commitments, no, like you were getting at some very good points of the study and the research and everything that has to go into it. But I think what we would support, or at least what I'm excited about, is just to support them in their efforts and exploring those activities.
Greg, do you have anything?
I couldn't agree more. You all really spoke pretty eloquently to it. I just, on a personal level, really couldn't think of a finer group of people to support. Just means a lot to me. Spent some time talking with Dave, some of the other, folks. Very happy to support it, just as you worded the motion.
The only other thing I would say, Jeff, and I'll say it again, I totally support these guys. It's gonna be a heavy lift, so I wish you well, I encourage you, and happy to support it. The three of us in the past have heard from the families group when we get to talking about the training school, so I think we should always lead with, we are not looking to push anybody out of there, but we're making plans for underutilized areas in the future, so that
That's what I heard.
we don't upset anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holly?
It's as the last hour has gone on, and I think one thing that really stuck out for me was I think the word track was kind of the gold standard, that the gold standard of what could be for veterans would be here. That is the piece that is really exciting for me. For anybody who doesn't know my background, I do have quite a lot of experience with our veterans as well as active duty, and there are a lot of programs that are well-intentioned, and to see this through to really come to fruition as it should be, I think that is probably the most exciting thing about it, is could this really be the program that the people want to go to? So I would love to see that here in Southbury. I'm a logistical person, so I always have a lot of questions about, well, how's it going to get there? How are we going to do this? And those things will come with time. But the idea and concept of a place that's truly unique and it does not exist for our veterans today, that this could be is very exciting. So, looking forward to seeing it become that gold standard.
Jason?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the comments made. One of the things, echoing Justin's point, and I see Voices is here, so if they could mention that in their article, that nobody's looking to close down the training school or move out the families. It's an enhancement to the site. They talked about co-occupying the site with current operations going on, and it's a great group of people. It's a wonderful cause. I think it would be, as I said earlier, this is a topic that comes up all the time. All of us know, training school, what's going to happen with the training school. This is one of the first times that a group has come here and actually presented a concept that's exciting, that's something that I think would be beneficial to many members of the community, and I think it would be, helpful for our town. So I wish you the best of luck. Let us know whatever help, you need, that we can offer, and I'm happy to support the motion.
Okay. Again, when they came to me, I didn't think there would be any issue with the concept. I think their idea is, one of the good things is that it would, the clients that are still there would, will be, they are also part of this. They are on the campus. Those that are mobile and able to get around, kind of like the Southbury celebration, the clients come down, they're part of the celebration. They are citizens of our town, which is important to us. And their intent here to be part of that and help both with the state and the training school if they can. Will relieve some of the burden also by doing this would be great. I also know firsthand that there are veterans that will move specifically to an area where they get good treatment for their needs and post-traumatic stress or other needs. So I also see this as seeing veterans who may move to our community based on this concept, or if this is to be developed, that they'll probably want to move to Southbury and the surrounding communities because of the facility here. They'll probably be working in the facility and hired to work there, so or be part of it. So I will entertain a motion from the Board of Selectmen to support the concept that was presented tonight for the training school, the training school property.
I think I'm looking at Betsy. I think we made the motion.
Oh, we had the motion. So I just want to make sure the motion, we know what we're voting on. It gets talked about, then we have to know the motion we're voting on before someone says, that's not what I thought we voted on.
Should we reference the St. Michael's VEI concept?
So what's the motion?
Support the concept of veterans entrepreneur.
Okay. Okay, we know what the motion is. I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? And it carries. I guess this is the beginning. Okay. Up next, Selectmen's report. Mary Corso stole my thunder there. Memorial Day Parade. I'm very excited. It's going to go forward. We all like a parade, and we'll look forward to that. I'll be putting out some information. We need to deal with the cannabis. We have a moratorium. There's a couple ways we can deal with it. I'll get that information out to you. I don't think it's for this meeting. I knew it would be a long meeting of how we can, what needs to be done or what we want to do. I think one of the questions that have been asked is, what would the community want? And should we do a survey, just to put out a survey, just get an idea. Again, there's money, if there's a tax that you could read the pamphlet. So I think we should discuss that, and do you do an ordinance? Do you do it by the Board of Selectmen, or do you zone it into other areas? So I'll put that information out. It's a little bit much but we need to move forward on that, because that will end, the moratorium will end, I forget the date, but we have time, but we need to get back on that. To Justin's point last meeting, next year is the 350th anniversary of the forming of the town of Southbury. There was a tercentennial, which was a 300th. I probably won't make the 400 years. But Justin, you got emailed everybody with some of the things that had happened.
Yeah, I can make some more copies out of the pages in the book for you folks, or even, drop it off. It's, I mean, they went hard. I mean, they had a party for like a week.
Yeah.
And the Memorial Day Parade was sort of the kickoff weekend, but then it went through that week to the following weekend. A couple fireworks displays, all sorts of historical stuff was brought forward, so, seems like, 14, 15 months is pretty far away, but it'll be here before we know it, so.
And I think it should be recognized to some degree.
I don't think we have to spend a lot of money. That's the other thing in the book. The last 10 pages were local businesses and local residents that had, donated to make the things happen and the book happen. And, I don't think we need to put a tax burden on our neighbors to do this.
And I do have, believe it or not, with my mother's, as I keep going through my mother's collection of much stuff, I come across the different things. But I did come across a number of books about the tercentennial, and I would be more than happy to let board members take a look at it. So I think eventually what we should do, get some thoughts together. I think the Southbury celebration, I could be wrong, but I think the Southbury celebration was born out of kind of the tercentennial of celebrating Southbury. So some of the stuff has actually kept going over time. I mean, there's some familiar names in that list and people who were there. Many are not with us now. But we'll get that out and just give it some thought. And then we'll also, the public is listening. Of course, Mary would love to be interested in parades and celebrations. And everything from, could we have a tractor parade, to a lot of different ideas. So I think we should move forward with something to recognize the 350 years contributions, some major milestones. We're working on the anniversary of the Home of the Brave. I'm not trying to reinvent what they're doing, but I think that's something that would be part of this, of major milestones that Southbury achieved over the 350 years. So let's keep that in mind. Let's not think on it too long, and maybe we'll come up with some ideas. Any questions of me? Okay, we'll have reports from Liaison. Selectman Betty?
None of my groups have met since last time. ARPA will meet before our next meeting, so we'll hear about that then.
And we'll have that forwarded to the board. Sorry for this, but the next meeting is when?
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Before our board meeting.
because we have someone on vacation.
Right. Dan.
Okay, all right.
Important component.
And a well-deserved some time off. Selectman Bucksbaum?
The only one of my groups that met since the last meeting is LEPC. They met yesterday. Just a couple things. It was a brief meeting. There was an emergency management symposium in April that Steve and some others will be going to. Steve Schnell is on the Sustainability Committee for Region 5 that has been formed, that looks at equipment and maintenance throughout the region for emergency management vehicles and whatnot. He continues to work with the schools and is present with police department, fire department, and various drills. And I guess somewhat related to tonight, but our new health director was present, introduced herself, we had some discussion with her. And as a procedural matter, one of the things we actually need to do is appoint her to that committee because there is a slot for the health department. So that's something our board has to do probably sometime the next month or so before the next meeting. Everything else?
We could do it at the next meeting.
Yeah, we can do it at the next meeting.
All right, she'll send me an email.
No, I meant before the next LEPC meeting.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so
I'm sorry.
Plenty of, there's time.
Okay.
All my other boards, ARP is next week, library is next week, EMS is at the end of the month, so.
Okay. Selectman Deal?
So the Conservation Commission did not meet last week, so the next meeting will be actually after our next board meeting, so we'll update then. And the Parks and Recreation did meet Thursday when we were here with the budget review meeting, so I only was able to see a part of that, and you actually summarized a lot of that in the first Selectmen report that you published. So the Parks and Rec is doing quite a bit of work with the Ballantine Pool Park camp for the summer. There's openings and positions available, so they're looking for some support there, and anybody looking for a job, I guess. But they're off to planning for summer activities.
Good. Selectman Kuhn?
My groups have not met since the last meeting. Senior Services meets on the 9th, and Energy Task Force meets on the 15th. So I'll have an update on the 17th, St. Patrick's Day.
A holy holiday in my family. But I'll be here anyway, but we're not gonna cancel, but it is a holiday for us. Holly?
So Region 15 did have a meeting on February 28th. I was traveling. I have not had the ability to watch the entirety of the recording, but the most notable thing to point out is that Superintendent Joshua Smith did present the 2023 budget presentation. And as soon as I have the opportunity to watch the entirety of that meeting, I'll be reporting on both for our next meeting.
Very good. Next is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you very much.